Well, hello everyone, and a very good afternoon. Right, I kind of touched on that on the pre-match that this game pretty much decided the rest of our weekend. So thankfully, it's a good afternoon. It's here, American Scouser, the post-match show. Liverpool 2, Brentford nil. Pretty routine win. I'm here, your host John, coupled with three of the four people from our pre-match group. Right, the only one missing is Matoush. So Serzi, Kazi, Brian, how are you? How are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Good. All right, brother.
Yeah, it's a pretty routine win, you would say, guys. Let me actually start getting your individual thoughts from the game. Let me actually start with you, Sergi. What are your overall thoughts coming from that 2-0 win, Arne Slot's first Liverpool win at Anfield?
It was a great win. A win is a win, and got a clean sheet. I think myself, along with everyone else at Anfield, we're going to have to get used to this
Hmm
8 years of just like pure heavy metal football and just thinking this chaos, just pure chaos. Um, so we have to realign our thinking, and we have to again relearn how to support Liverpool like it used to be back in the 80s. Like Kazi was saying, pre-match was like the 2-0 professional wins and just turn up, score the goals, and get out of there. And it was great. I don't not one point in that game I thought, oh God, I have to start taking my meds. It was great control. It was nothing that we've ever seen in the last 8 years. And every single player, I don't think you can pick on one player where you thought, okay, he didn't turn up or whatever. Everyone just did their job
Right.
to him. But
Right. It's kind of like what's been emphasized primarily, Kazi, in terms of what Arnie's bringing into the team. He's more of a like let's just analyze the situation instead of going at the opposition's throat. Right. Let's see what they've got. Let's dissect them. And this game is pretty much like it epitomizes the new regime that's coming in. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
On that?
I don't think it's more let's analyse them. I think it's more we're a bit patient with the ball, which he has been very much, factor of when he's been in his press conference, that he wants to be a bit more patient with the ball. I feel like it's more. Listen, there's two games of football that Liverpool have won 2-0 that you could legitimately say they should have won 5-0. Like this, and then we all go, fucking hell, this is heavy metal football again, and everything's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Nathan Collins makes two unbelievable blocks. The Cody Gakpo one, because that looks into me when he hits the bar, and then the Jota one especially. The Jota one's unbelievable block. So there's chances there where you look and go, look, push up in 5-0. That's two games back to back, but you win 2-0, and that's nice. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of into. I love a 2-0. I love professional wins. I love that Liverpool just for business. For a bit flat from 30 to 45, a little bit flat, and then I thought we were a bit flat starting the second half until Alisson made that save, which is Brentford's only chance in the game, in my opinion. That looks like a decent chance at least. And then we kind of woke up and kind of stepped it up a gear and thought, oh yeah, we're getting a bit complacent, and then we punished him, kind of thing, with a finish that would just come to for Mo Salah, which is just like such an easy. It's such like it looks like such an easy finish, but it isn't, because he stabs it over the goalkeeper. It's more of a stab than a place. He knows he has to stab the ball because the keeper's too close to him, so you can't place it because the keeper saves it. So you've got to stab it over him, and it's such a good finish. It's so underrated because we see it all the time. You know what I mean? It's nice to see, fella. It was good from the lads there. Really good. I thought everyone was kind of, Luis Diaz was excellent again. We keep getting that Luis Diaz fella, then we're gonna see a footballer. Maybe he's kind of like the same case of like, well, Barcelona can't even afford to sign me or register me. They're trying to fuck me off for Anthony Gordon. Right. So maybe I've got to kind of step up to the plate here and kind of show them, you know what I mean? And this new manager could work out for him. So yeah, super pleased, fella. 3 more points. Let's move on.
Yeah, same sentiments, Brian. Big fan of that performance.
I definitely right there. I think it was such a calm right there. Our pass play was so refreshing to watch. I mean, we had great link up play throughout the pitch. I mean, it was just a good. I'm just enjoying this growing partnership between Gravenberch and McAllister, because I think that's a really, really good thing to watch right there too. I mean, I think they played very well together, and like the Konate today was just immense. I mean, it was just not that Konate that we saw. If he can just stay healthy, I'll be a good time. I think he'll keep that spot right there. But it's just him staying fit And I think the way that it sounds like with Slots, what he knows is that he prides on fitness and keeps his squads relatively injury free with time management. So I think that we may have a different approach to less injuries this year.
For sure. And just addressing this comment, Timushin is actually on vacation. He will be back next weekend, hopefully enjoying the 2-0 win, much like we are. Sergi, that's a great point brought up by Brian there. In terms of Ibu Konate, such a talented CB, just never really gets to, put a consecutive run of games. Sometimes he's out of form, but pretty good start coming in. Kwanzaa being hooked on halftime last game. He comes in, basically doesn't put a foot wrong. More of the same this game. Like, this is the Ibu that we kind of sort of expect. The guy who was touted as Van Dijk's successor.
Yeah, I think the key to that is he's not able to do Trent's job as well, where he had to do that with the club, and he had to do his job and cover Trent. From what we've seen so far, he's not had to do that. So he can just get on with his game. And like I said, this is the player that we all thought we were going to get. And it just sounds blasphemous, but it's like we're talking crap on Klopp's 8 years in charge. But we're seeing a different Liverpool now, and I think we're playing. Like every team is an extension of their manager. We were an extension of Klopp last few years. Man City extension of Pep, Man United extension of Ten Hag, and you look at Slot's demeanor and everything. We are an extension of him, and this is what we're getting. Just calm. My only concern is, and hopefully it doesn't happen, is how we react to going a goal down. I don't see we're not going to play these games where we have. As long as we score more, we're going to that kind of football. You know what I'm saying?
Because I know you got to bounce, but then coming into United, these last 2 games, like obviously very small sample size, but looking in, obviously, biggest rivals, no matter how bad they are, they're always going to turn up against us. So what are you taking in heading into that game?
That we're a better football team than them. We look like a more organised football team. If you actually tell me which one was at the job in the summer, I would say it would be Ten Hag if he's the new manager, and Arne Slot looks like he's been here for months, if not years, because he's implementing his plans already. Going into the United game, listen, Old Trafford is a notoriously difficult ground for Liverpool. It always has been and always will be. And by the way, it should be like that. It should be hard for Liverpool to go there, and it should be a proving ground. When I was growing up, mate, I've seen Liverpool beat many great United sides at home, then United go on and win the league. So, because that's what used to happen. So, Liverpool need to go there and get on the ball. Use your better football players, because you have better football players than them, and let them work into mistakes. This United side love to hang themselves if you give them enough rope. They'll hang themselves. And the one thing I know about this United side, if they want to turn this into a basketball game, we will score more goals. So I have no issues with any way that United can show. United can beat Liverpool. By the way, United can beat Liverpool because on their day at home, they will want to show up, and Bruno Fernandes will want to play, and Marcus Rashford, and they have really talented football players. But the way Liverpool are playing right now, with everyone fit, if everyone stays fit over the next week, then I expect Liverpool to still go in and probably win the game still. I'm super happy, man, because I wanted to get these first 2 games. Of course, Liverpool to win, clean sheets are always a bonus as well. But I also I didn't want them to be like 4-2s. I wanted just kind of dull 2-0s, like, oh, they're just ticking along nicely. Like, not really making headlines, just ticking along. And you're not winning 6-2 at Wolves, which it's exciting and it's fantastic. And I wish Liverpool would win 6-2 at Wolves. But I just think I don't want that. I want them to kind of go into the game, if you're United, going, well, they've won 2 games, they haven't really played that well, and they're okay, Let them just go in there, Liverpool, just tick along nicely and come along, you know what I mean? Just still in the race. We're one of only 4 teams to win the first 2 games, I think. City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. So we want to, you know what I mean, and just tick along nicely going into that game. Because if United want to do what United kind of do under Ten Hag, Liverpool will win the game.
Before you go, Kazi, take a draw?
No, I don't think they're that good. I don't think they're that good, mate. And I know what you're saying, and I get that. And it's a very fair point, by the way, that you're saying that. But I think if you want to catch the City and Arsenal side, you need 100 points, and you need to get them in any way, shape, or form. Because I still think if City needed 100 points last year, they would have got them. Like, you know what I mean? And I just feel like that's always the case with City. So, no, I don't. And I think if you catch them early, a bit like if you look back at the start of the season, City might look at that Chelsea game and go, that was a good result because we went there early. Like we're going to Old Trafford early, and if United finish 5th and get their act together, if Nistelrooy comes in and gets them playing, we all go, that was a good, it was a good time to go there. I think this is a good time to go to Old Trafford.
Yeah, well,
hey, they sold McTominay this about an hour ago too.
Yeah, they've accepted a bid, haven't they? Yeah, from Napoli. So, they might. By the way, they might have a couple of players coming in before then. Liverpool definitely won't, but they might have a couple of players coming in. You know what I mean? And then, who knows?
For sure.
But yeah, I still expect Liverpool to win.
Yeah. Well, we'll catch you later, Kazi. Been a pleasure as
Thanks,
always.
boys.
Enjoy
Thanks,
yourself.
Kazi.
Yep. Brian, to Kazi's point that we're going to get to the United game at the end of the show because I know you guys are going to be sticking around unless you're going to leave me, which I wouldn't appreciate, of course, but I'd prefer the both of you guys stay here. But let me actually go to this segment that I'm trying to make my own personal segment, which I call glass half full, glass half empty. Right. So let me actually start with you, Brian, because you happen to be next up after Kazi. So give me a glass half full thing and a glass half empty perspective on today's game. That can be a player, a moment, whatever. And Sergi, I'll get to you after Brian.
Okay, I'm going to go with Endo because I think when they brought Endo on,
as your glass half empty or a glass
half empty right there. I think that he basically looked like he was totally out of place. And when he brought on, it looked like there was a little bit more pressure that was being put on toward that last couple of minutes when you just need the players to see out the match, and it kind of reassured right there that Endo probably will not be with us probably after the January at the latest. He'll be gone. I mean, probably be gone here probably this week. I think like Kazi said at the pre-match, if somebody offers 15 mil, I gotta take it, and move on from this. And my glass half full would be, as I said right there earlier, it's the minutes on these midfielders' legs. I keep on pushing it right there. I mean, I could go on other things with like outside of the match right there, but I think that we have to start managing like some of these players, like especially McAllister, the amount of time he's put on his legs this summer, and now going into it and actually playing a full over 180 minutes right there in the first when you include stoppage time. I think you got to be worried about that. I mean, I'm not worried about Gravenberch because I think Gravenberch didn't play. I mean, but I mean,
as Sergi loves to point out during the morning shows, he didn't play a single minute.
Yeah. So I'm not worried about. And I'm not really worried about Szoboszlai because he was bounced out of the group stage right there, but McAllister went all the way through, so he really hasn't had any time to stay off his legs. And I really think that we have to. We start getting into the rotation where we have multi matches. We're going to definitely need to do some time management.
Right, for sure. Sergi, I know you're being Mr. Positive over there, but you have to give me a glass half empty perspective. I'm sorry, but let's start with glass half full since Brian started off as a glass half empty.
There's a lot of positives, like I mean, even to the point of McAllister, and I understand what Brian's saying, but we're playing a different system with the midfield where he's not having to run as much as he did under Klopp. And I know I predicted he was going to score, then as we got into the match I was thinking McAllister's not going to score in the system because he's just going to sit back.
Right.
So, and that being said, we saw Szoboszlai, thank God, and Arne's not on. Szoboszlai had an amazing game today.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need to do all the flash things. He just needs to fit into the system. Mm-hmm. And just like, I don't know, I'll harp back onto past days and that's how Liverpool used to do it in the midfield. We'd have one Neil McMahon, yeah, Melvin. They weren't outstanding, but they had a system and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And this system's working. And Gravenberch, wow, like he's Slot found a system for him that's going to work, I think. And I think that's the reason why we're not pushing for a number 6. And it's like he says, like, we have quality players. We're not going to buy for the sake of buying. And, we have that player there. It's 2 games in, but then we're going to say, it's only 4 games in or 5 games in. Gravenberch, he's doing that Gini Wijnaldum job.
Yeah. And
he's getting noticed more now because he had a bad season last year, but he's done well. The other positive is that it didn't seem like we came out of second gear. It's like, Brian's got his title, like, calms you, like we really didn't need to come out of second gear.
Right.
So that being said, the half glass full is, I guess the atmosphere is flat. You'd expect more in our first home game, and I think that's more the fact that the crowd are feeding off the team. And I was feeding off the team because I admit I was kind of falling asleep a little bit and I had to get an energy drink. But it's like watching Man City play. At the end of the day, if we win and we win the titles, I'll take it. Who cares?
For sure. But take a dull atmosphere, but then winning the league all day, right?
Yeah, again, it's all muscle memory and it's all reverting to type. 8-9 years is a long time to be. When you saw players like Mane and Son and Firmino at the tilt and the midfield just running everywhere. It's so yeah, it would take getting used to. As long as the test will come against like big teams, like Man United, Man City, Chelsea, and the European games at home. The team may need to, rely on the crowd to get them going. But like I said, we're an extension of the manager. Manager just seems so calm, and even you see him sitting with Trent. He basically squashed that with Trent during the game.
Yeah.
And whatever conversation transpired, who knows if we'll ever find out. But he just seems so hands-on and so emotionless. But he seems very very professional and business-like with that. The emotions that go behind it.
That's a good segue, actually, Sergi. And let me ask you, Brian, is the stuff made about the Anfield crowd, because I heard the commentators mentioning that it's a little quiet, and Sergi did touch on about how it's an extension of how the team is playing, which is great. What I love about Anfield is like how when they're quiet, when they're loud, it's 100% genuine. It's a reflection of what's happening on the pitch. It's not like, for example, not to knock on some of the Bundesliga crowds, but if you see some of them like with the repeated drums and everything, and then people like chanting and doing all that stuff when you're down like 4-0, it doesn't come off as organic. Whereas at Anfield, where obviously if you're just feeling out an opponent, if you're like just trying to kill the game, everyone just gets a little. There's a bit of like genuineness to that. So my question is, I guess for you, do you feel like it's being too much is put into it, or you feel like that it is a genuine cause for concern or something like that?
I don't think it's a cause of concern right there. It's like what Sergi was saying right there. You have to get used to it. We did for 9 years of this whole like constant like this like on the charge, and you can't, this is different. This is a classic Dutch total control football. I mean that you're watching now. I mean, so you basically because they're passing to death, and that's basically what we're doing. I mean, so the crowd we as supporters have to get used to. This is the way forward, and what you were hitting off of how he was talking to Trent and all that. Very Pep Linders, his role went down to more of a Pep Linders type of role where he was actually with the players more, where Klopp was overseeing the process. Where with the last system, Pep was the arm around the shoulder, the talk to guy right there. And so I think that Slot's method of management is refreshing to me. I mean, because it goes back to like the whole like youth system type of thing that that people have dealt with, where you actually go to the player, say, hey, this is what I'm doing. You explain to them and stuff like that, so they learn from this stuff like that. It's not like a whole like, hey, we gotta shut this down. Like last week when he took Kwanzaa off right there. I mean, it's like he took Kwanzaa off right there, and to save Kwanzaa. I mean, and that's really ultimately. I think that people thought it was like a big thing for us to go and take players off. But sometimes you got to take them off just to save them from themselves. Yeah. I mean, and so and that's pretty much what he does. Now, as far as the crowd, or you get with the crowd, I think we just have to get used to it. I mean, it's I know you're going to hear the whole thing right there, the Museum Anfield, and all the things that rival supporters always say about the atmosphere at Old Trafford and the atmosphere at City, and and stuff like that. But if you're out there, if you play a type of system, how Pep plays with that and City play, you're going to have these down moments on there. The ball is just going to be you're just ping-ponging the ball back and forth just to go there. There's just a wait back and set for that perfect play. And we just have to think we're not going to be pressing the entire match, and it's like, and it's waiting for something to happen, and so I'm good with this. It was, again, it was, as I said, calm as you like. It was relaxing. I wasn't stressed out like I was half the matches for the past couple of years when I watch us get hit on a counter, and and it was like, what the hell? I mean, so breath of fresh air. I'm good.
Yeah, no medication for Sir Z as well. Alan is here saying, hi guys. Hello, Alan. Hope you enjoyed that game and hope you're enjoying your Sunday. Let's go into the midfield, guys, because obviously positive performances, barring the first half of that Ipswich game from our double pivot there in Gravenberg and McAllister. Let's include Szoboszlai as well, because technically he is a midfielder in that 10 role. Obviously the conversation is inevitably gonna go on to whether we need an actual 6 or not. And it's only been 2 games. Do you feel, Cersei, that this midfield, like seeing how Arne plays and everything, would you still go hell bent for a 6 this window, or kind of wait and see how we are until maybe the winter, see how we kind of adjust and how these players fit in to maybe go hell bent and go all out for a specialist number 6?
No, I don't think like we needed one under Klopp. I don't think we need one under the system. With McAllister, this is a new role for him. And definitely, I guess Gravenberch was always primed to be this role when before he went to Bayern. So this fits him to a T. Now I think it's just a matter of Jones stepping up without being injured, and it works. It works with Szoboszlai, and I think Harvey Elliott might be the victim of the system, unfortunately. Right. But it just depends. I mean, it's like Kaiser saying, we're only 2 games in. So when you start playing 2-3 games a week, obviously things will change. I'd say my main concern now is obviously getting another defender in, because we're short. Konate hasn't had the best injury record, but then saying that, I don't think he's going to be playing as high tempo as he did under Klopp either. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're going to see post January. I think we're going to have less injuries because of this new system.
Right. What about you, Brian? Content with this midfield, or you're still kind of wobbly? Still feel like we need that insurance 6 coming in?
I don't think we need a number 6 anymore. I was pretty hard set on it going into the from last season, but I think the system right there is perfect with what it is. I think that you have to have hybrid 6s with this, and I think that's what we have with this double pivot. I mean, they're both hybrids, and so and I think the way that they're communicating, I think I'm good with the midfield right there. I think I agree with what Sir Z said. I think that Harvey may be the odd man out on this right here, just because of how we set up. I mean, with it, because if you would look at with the 3 behind like Jota or / Nunez, whoever goes there, they're all gonna go there and be like kind of like a winger, but not quite a winger. And I don't think that Harvey doesn't play very well out wide. I mean, we saw that right there last year when they used to sub, when Harvey would come on as a sub for Salah, and you're just like, okay, well this doesn't work. And I think that which probably why we sold Carvalho right there, because he's that same type of number 10 type of player, and it's like it doesn't work with the system. And so I think that why have 2 players that play the same exact type of way? And so I think that tweaking wise right there, if we have to tweak right there, Harvey's a good person to go in that way. Same thing with Jones. Yeah. But the way this midfield is right now, I think we're fine. I think we're okay. I don't think we need to change anything.
So you're with Sir Z that a CB is probably the position you'd address. For example, like as the deadline comes and we have to make absolutely just one signing, it's going to be a center half for you.
Yes, Adagio. I really want that kid right 100%. There. I think that's who we really need, because he's left sided, and I think that's what we need to go in. The only other thing I would go right there is I still think that we need to look at a left back. I'm not. I think that Bravo right there, he did have like some good moments right there, but there's still some moments where where the age is going to happen. It's good to go there and set up a middle person right there, and I don't think that Simicast is our ultimate left back. And I think that we need to have something to bridge that right there to when we go back to Chambers and these other kids that we have back toward the toward the end right there. Then you need to go there and make sure we're set up for success in that position.
For sure. Very well said, Brian. Let's actually go, and it's actually great that it ended with you there, Brian, because let me actually do an extension of the Thursday podcast here. Let Darwin Nunez cameo. What's the most Darwin Nunez thing? Being miles offside, one, and then absolutely missing a point-blank header. I would just like, this is Darwin Nunez in a nutshell. So, all right, I don't want to rag on the guy, right? I don't want to rag on the guy. Obviously,
he keeps us in business. He keeps our Thursday night in business.
Right, he keeps us Thursday night show in business, right? Like, I don't want to rag on the guy. He didn't have a preseason, right? He didn't have a preseason, and he's coming into a new manager and new system. Obviously, being fair to him, it's a massive adjustment. But considering how well Jota is playing, if he stays healthy, right? If Jota continues his run of form, there's no way he's going to be starting in terms of like on a regular basis here. So let me ask you first, Sir Z here. Do you see him coming in and fitting into this style of play? Because you can see there's a lot of intricacy, a lot of composure. There is a little bit of departure from the chaos ball stuff that Klopp used to do. Yeah. So what's your prediction here on Nunez?
I don't know. Even if Jota gets injured, I think Gakpo fills that position.
Did look good at left wing though coming in.
I mean, he did. Yeah, but by the way Diaz is playing, and like to Caz's point before, like this is the Diaz we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he drops Diaz, and he's gone. Also, Gakpo's going to be knocking on that door wanting to play, and you can't blame Gakpo's a good player. So 3-1 doesn't fit, you know. And Jota's doing everything he can to keep that position. He might not have scored today, but he defended.
He assisted
and defended well from the front. You know, Nunez. The thing about Nunez, he has a target on his back, and you know he's the first one you go to as a scapegoat, and I think he will be victim to that. And you know, unless he shows something different in training or whatever, and just gets his head down. And you know, we've got 65 games potentially this season. You know, he will play, and you know the fact that he did bring him on, you know, obviously helped. He didn't keep him on the bench again, but then also didn't do himself any favors when he did come on. You know, yeah. So I don't know. I want him to do well. I want him to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well. And just to clarify here, I'm not hating on the guy. Whoever's watching, I'm not hating on the guy. Like, we would be the happiest people in the world if he develops into a Robert Lewandowski type finisher right here. It's just obviously there's a lot going against him right now in terms of how he's going to break into the side with Jota's excellent start, Brian, and in terms of what. 8 years, right? 9 years, right? So I'm used to referring to our manager as Klopp, but what Slot needs from that 9, not just the 9, from his players, which is composure, which is precision, and which is brains. And unfortunately for Nunez, those hasn't been his best traits coming in. So again, let me throw you the question I threw Sir Z. Do you see him breaking in to become that first choice 9 at some point this year?
I don't. I mean, it's like if you think about like when you take a little kid into like a store that has a bunch of breakables in there. That's what you got Darwin Nunez. You have to hold his hand and say, "Hey, okay, don't touch this, don't touch this, don't touch this." I mean, and that's pretty much what you got. That's why I said on Discord right there when we had Diaz and Nunez, and they were both in the same exact time. Complete freaking chaos, and I think that would have came there and changed our entire game we play. I mean, I think that's why we keep on seeing these Anthony Gordon fires right there, because you need a player like that for this system right there. And I don't think that Nunez plays with a very direct type football, and we're not direct anymore. I mean, you can see that. And so we're actually going and fine tuning, looking for that for perfection and for that little perfect spot right through there. Nunez isn't that player. I mean, he's a run at you and scare the shit out of you, and then hope for the best right there. I mean, because last year you figure with his system right there, he was running, drawing people to him to set up Mo. We don't have that way. We're not playing that way anymore. We don't have a front three that like the way that is. So I mean, ultimately, I mean, I've seen some great Nunez abilities with he's got so much potential. It's just raw, and I think the system isn't meant for a raw player. I mean, I think ultimately right there that this is probably going to be the end of Nunez. I really do. I think that Nunez probably will be off, probably if not January, probably next summer, because I just don't see him being able to fit with the intricacies of this type of football.
And hopefully, for everyone listening, thinking that we're bashing on Nunez, we hope we're
No,
wrong. We hope
I
we're
love
wrong.
Nunez.
Yeah, we
Oh, I
have.
hope.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely hope we're wrong right there. And it's but the thing is that there you have to have the right player, right place, and and that's and I mean we've seen some players that have left us that that turned out to be really great players. But if they don't fit the system right there, then you know what? What do? You can't just like have somebody to sit on a bench. Okay, well you go in, but you're going to be you're going to be outnumbered, left out. I mean, it goes the same thing when we were looking at England right there with the when they played in the Euros.
Yeah.
When you play with the system with it right there, where you have three in the back, it's easy to shut players down. Nunez is an easy player to shut down, and I think that we can anybody that sees him on that starting lineup says, "Hey, guess what? I'm just going there to shut down shop right there. Not choke out the ball from him because he's not going to go there and he's not going to be able to play that type of tiki-taka type of modified football that we're going to be playing now." And so, I mean. So that I just think that Nunez right there will probably be better off in a side that plays in the front three, that in the same way that we used to play. I can see him playing. I think a Barcelona right there, the way they play right there, or even go and play in something in that type of system. Perfect right there, because I mean they're still playing with the front three, but I just don't see it with us.
Yeah, well, my prediction is I feel like Nunez, as much as I ragged on him, I feel like he's still going to have a part to play this year. As Sir Z mentioned, 65 games, a lot of games, and we don't know, as good as Jota is, he hasn't been as reliable the last 2 years. So he will – I feel like there will be a point where he's going to turn up, pull up something, and we're going to rely on Darwin Nunez again. So fingers crossed that he comes in, does what he does, does what he does, not being offside, but then being a threat, being always locked in. That's arguably something that you can't take away from him and what he brings to the table. Let me actually just go to this topic quickly so we can sort of end on a positive note before I get your predictions in. Mo Salah looks a different player. Yeah. He looks refreshed. He looks like Salah who coming in during that 2017-18 season where he looks game to take on his man. It doesn't always come off, but you can see the hunger there for him in terms of wanting to kind of make his teammates better and then try and take his chances. It's like Sir Z, like he just needed this change of scenery in terms of manager, didn't he?
Oh yeah, 100%. And he looks more efficient. Whereas under Klopp, he'll be getting the ball all the time, especially last season when he did play. And anything that he tried, probably less than like 20% was coming off.
Right.
Whereas now, when he does get the ball, it's more efficient. And he's got players around him. It's like there's someone on Discord or someone on the one of the pundits said we play more like a team now, as opposed to individuals. And the individuals worked with Mane and Salah, but that's only because Bobby was gluing them together. You're not going to get another Bobby. No way. There's no striker out there that's as selfless as Bobby was. So this feels like it's more of a team. Jota and Salah obviously played a long time together. They know each other's strengths, and the same as Diaz and Jota. So, and the fact that they all want to keep a clean sheet. It's not about the defenders do their part, attacks do that. It's like everyone. You can tell that clean sheet means so much, and so much as scoring a goal.
It definitely helps this year, Brian, that there's no AFCON, no nothing to distract Salah. This is just a season for him to just come in, try and put his stamp on a new team, and hopefully put the pen on paper to a new deal, right? Like obviously, like I mentioned in the in the pre-match show, we still have that lingering over our heads, but I'm gonna try not to touch into that too much. Yeah, but Brian, what do you make of Salah first 2 games, and how do you think his season's gonna play out for us?
He looks less stressed. He doesn't look like that. Like everybody's dependent on him, and I think that's what has happened last year. I think that we were depending on him the entire time, and to either make a play, score a goal. And he doesn't look that way because I think that he's like Sir Z said, we play like more like a team now, and I see a little bit more of a 11 instead of actually going at every play has to go through Trent, has to go on that right side, Trent to Mo every single play. We're not doing that anymore. Everything's going through the middle, so it changes the whole entire perspective of how we play. Again, it's calm. It's not chaotic. And I think that, we were used to seeing Mo barreling down the wing right there, and stuff like that. But now you're seeing a Mo that's on the wing, toward the middle, drag it back a little bit more in, and go there looking for plays and stuff like that and all that. And we saw that during preseason. I think we're just seeing that extension of him. Of his play, even like that toward the end of last season, even though we were very dependent on him, you could see that he was playing a little bit more passive. And I think that now it's like he's balancing his game out. It's like like when people reinvent themselves. I think that Mo's reinvented himself, and I think and I think he's happy with that. It goes back to one of the little plays that we were talking about earlier, right there. I can even see Mo being if something happens to Jota. I can see Mo going in the middle of the pit as a 9, as a 9, and I can see Slobosai shifting over on that right side. I can see there's different little pieces that players can have in the side, and I think that Mo is like that. I'm 31. Hey, I'm just going to have fun. Right. I could go out there, and that's why I think he's turned his eyes away from Saudi, because again, if he goes to Saudi League, the pressure's back on him. Again, I think that, and it's like because they're going to demand demands for him to do all stuff. He can sit back and play with us right there for another 2 seasons, retire, move on with life, and and still have his head high. And I think that would be the best thing for him.
For sure. It just speaks to what a complete player he is. And despite what social media would tell you, definitely one of the Premier League's all-time greatest, probably the greatest winger in the Premier League in terms of pure raw goal output. Like, who gets 30 goals from the wing? Right, exactly. So let me actually finish this with a bit of a prediction here, guys. So give me first your man of the match, right, from this game, and kind of what I asked Kazi earlier in the show. What do you take from these 2 games going into the United game? Let me actually start with you, Sergi. Man of the match, and what do you take from these first 2 games coming?
Man of the match would be Collins for Brentford, actually, because if it wasn't for him,
right,
I think we'll be at least 4-5 up.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely Collins would be my man of the match. So what was the second part of the question?
Oh, what do you take from these first 2 games? Obviously, we're heading into United next week. How do you see that turning out for us?
Well, I take from the game is just the professionalism of everyone, and and it's the players as well as the fans that have had to adjust, and Slot's taking no prisoners. We saw Kwanzaa come off last week, and what not many people mentioned is that Konate was warming up 20 minutes into that game. So obviously Slot saw something within the first 20 minutes where he's not having it. And with Trent coming off, I don't know whether that's to protect Trent from himself or to give Bradley a chance, whatever it was. He's not taking the prisons. He's got no emotional attachment to these players.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just going to do what he needs to do, and his job is to win games, and that's it. And whatever it takes. And can't win games by conceding goals early. Yep. We're not that type of team anymore. I think against Man United, I think we'll win that. I think the fact that all the emotions, it just seems like our players aren't emotional anymore. And I think the emotions will be taken out of the game on our side, which will help us, I think, dictate that game.
Brian, what about you? Man of the match, and what do you think? How do you think the United game is going to play out based on these last 2 games?
It's hard. It's hard to go there and put a man of the match right there, because I saw some very, very, very good performances. But I'd probably have to go with Jota, because I think that Jota was pretty instrumental in that front part. But then I could also go with Konate, because I think that Konate had played a pretty perfect match. And I could go with Gravenberch right there, because I think, again, it's a continuation of past 2 matches of what type of player that he can become in the system. So of the past 2 matches, the one thing I'm seeing right there is just our intricate play that and how we're moving the ball is so refreshing. And I think that we're rejuvenating ourselves a lot right there. I mean, to where we're actually learning to play. And the one thing that's really cool is to me right there is how soon these players have taken all this on. If I'm going from an entirely different system right there with Klopp to this right there, it's a 180 difference right there. I mean, with how we're playing, and they've taken to like a fish in water. I mean, so I think the players it looks like the players are enjoying themselves, and that's all we need right there. So have fun playing football. Win matches, keep clean sheets, have fun playing football. I think that this United side against them, they have lots of problems. They're a very unbalanced side, and I think if they need one of my guys I work with is a big United supporter right there, and we talk about all the time. They don't have any center of the any backbone in the center of their midfield anymore, and now they got rid of McTominay, which was somewhat of a backbone they had. But they're going to go in there and kill this Manu kid right there by putting so much pressure on him and wanting him to go in there to succeed and right off the bat. So I think that we have the ability to keep on just to ping them to death. I think we could do the same thing what City's done to them so many times right there, where they just pass them and kill them off in the pass. Because sure. If their defense is going to be the same way what I saw yesterday. They don't have Collins to go there and saving goals for them right there. You have Blockhead right there who's going to give away goals. So right. I think that we're going to win that match. I think that I think we're probably going to win it pretty handily. I don't see the Fernandez that everybody talked about for many years. I don't see that player anymore. I don't see the Rashford that I see the Rashford we saw when he first came on the scene. I don't see that player anymore. And it seems like that these guys are just there.
Right. Well, hopefully at this same time next week, we're having the same conversations, right, guys? It's pretty much the same time of the game, right, and everything. It's on Sunday as well. Real quick, would you guys take a draw?
No.
No.
And you know what I like? Just to finish off, with Slot, football's a simple game, and it's literally simple. It's not trying to do what Arteta did, overthinking, playing "You Never Walk Alone" on the training ground, or having his players pickpocketed and just bullshit stuff. Just it's subbing the keeper. You don't need to do that. It's a simple game. The other team can't score if they don't have the ball. And that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't think we're going to enjoy. We're going to have that highs that we had on the club, but we also don't have Mane, Salah, and Firmino anymore.
Yeah.
So it's and that them players suited that system, but now we're back to basics. Opposition can't score if you got the ball. That's just pure basic football.
For sure. Any final words, right? Yeah, before we head out.
We definitely have the potential to have 21 points on those first 7 matches. If you look at that line right there, there's everybody we play after United right there.
Even after the break, it's a nice set of fixtures.
Yeah, exactly. All those fixtures after the break right there are all easily winnable matches right there for us. I don't see anything. Of what I've seen all those teams so far, the only one of any that looked like it was halfway decent was probably Bournemouth right there. I think they were hard done by today. But other than that, I don't really see any competition. Forest doesn't look good. Wasn't good. Wolves are atrocious. So I think that we just need to let Slot keep on going there and figuring out his system. And I think that we're going to be happy ultimately. But again, it's back to basics, and I'm happy with it.
For sure. And it's been an excellent start to the Arne Slot Era. Gentlemen, I appreciate you two joining me as always. It's been 40 minutes. Well, 40 minutes. So I thought this was going to be a quick post-match, but we pretty much got into it, which is great. But for everyone who is watching, if you haven't yet, please subscribe, like, all that jazz. It really helps us massively. We're at 876 on YouTube, trying to get that 1,000 goal at the end of the year. I have spoken with Timuchin. If we do get 1,000, there will be a special 1,000 subscriber party show, which will be fun. So please help us get there. But on behalf of all of us here at American Scouser, thank you so much for tuning in. And we will see you guys tomorrow, I believe, on the Monday morning show. Take care, everyone.
Up the Reds.